Rants at the Movies, a podcast where we rant about our favourite cult and lesser known films, and try, and fail, not to bitch about critics and Alien 3. I'm one of your hosts and jack of all trades, Mono, and staring into the sun for way longer than recommended is my co-host and master of none, Ciara.
It makes the pretty sparkles.
Yeah, we figured it's about time we covered a jack of all trades director, so today we're looking at Danny Boyle's 2007 sci-fi offering Sunshine. With fantastic writing, fantastic directing, excellent visuals, fantastic cast as well.
Beautiful score.
Yeah, 15 years on, this film does seem to have been forgotten a bit.
It does, I think.
And
now,
we won't stand for that. Down with that kind of thing.
Careful now. I think it was very much eclipsed by the powerhouse that was Slumdog Millionaire, which did come out in 2008 and kind of eclipsed this, whereas there had always kind of been a bit more time between Danny Boyle films.
Yeah, and in terms of his films, this is sandwiched between 28 Days Later and Slumdog Millionaire, which are both way bigger films.
Yeah.
I've never seen Slumdog Millionaire because that's not my bag.
No, I heard really good things about it. I've never watched it. Again, not my cup of tea at all. But
28 Days Later,
yes.
Fucking love. and would have probably covered today only for the fact that we did a zombie film last week. And everybody knows 28 Days Later.
Yeah, Fast Zombies. But it's the movie that gave the world Fast Zombies.
What year was 28 Days Later?
2002.
Alright, cool. So yeah, it was, because Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead has Fast Zombies as well.
Yeah.
But that was 2004.
It also has the brilliant scene with the rats running in the tunnel.
Yeah, but we're not
running away from things. I love it. It's
we're not
amazing.
doing 28 Days Later today.
Not.
We're doing Sunshine.
Yeah.
His lesser known but equally excellent sci-fi film.
Yeah.
And it is a really, really good cast.
It's a brilliant cast.
And 15 years on, most of them still are really big names. Like Cillian Murphy, still a really big name. Chris Evans, obviously still a really big name.
Now, in his fairness, Chris Evans wouldn't have been as well known at this point. He had been in the Fantastic Four as Johnny Flame.
Yeah, he was.
And he'd been in Not Another Teen Movie, which if you've never seen it, go watch it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, no, I don't know that it would have been one of his first serious roles, but probably one of his first big serious roles.
Yeah, where he would have been more the straight guy, because all the other characters he's kind of portrayed up to that point that I'm aware of, that I've seen, are that kind of cheeky, chappy.
And he's fucking
20s.
amazing in this.
Oh, he is. He's
if you think he's good in Snowpiercer, he's equally good in this. He's really, really good. But yeah, it's a fucking fantastic cast. The only thing that I couldn't get around was skinny Benedict Wong. He just looks so young and weedy and skinny.
You didn't even realise it was him.
I had forgotten he was in it. I'd completely forgotten that he was in it. Because he is, of the kind of 8 or so main characters, he's not in it a huge amount.
No, what he is in, though, is...
Oh, he's really good in it. Don't get me wrong. But that's why I had kind of forgotten about him, because his character isn't one of, say, of the 8, there's probably 4 that the film really focuses on.
Yeah.
But before we dive into the meat of it, shall we go for a summary?
Yes.
As is tradition.
As is tradition.
Not wanting to be outdone by Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Wong creates his own multiverse, bringing together Captain America, Shang-Chi's aunt, the Scarecrow, Scorpion, Moira McTaggart, Mac from That Giant Shark movie, that Jason dude from Ballers, and the disembodied voice of Mary Magdalene. Together they must stop the evil science advisor Brian Cox and save the world from a scientifically accurate problem with the sun. En route, they hear a distress call from the previous mission captained by Green Lantern Sinestro. Now the crew must decide whether they should risk the mission or carry on ahead.
You really got them all in there, didn't you?
Oh, I tried.
Yeah.
I tried. When I realised how many of them were in superhero films and the likes.
Yeah.
The only one that I really struggled with there was the voice of Icarus.
Yeah. She does a lot of voice work.
Yeah, but I thought I liked the disembodied voice of Mary Magdalene. Because she played Mary Magdalene, so it counts. Yeah. But, yeah, no, so a non-ridiculous summary is basically, it's a small crew off to reignite the sun, essentially. Yeah.
Basically, Brian Cox, who, if you don't know who that is, he's a physicist from the University of Manchester. He works in CERN. He's kind of, he'd be very similar to Carl Sagan.
Yeah, he's what they call a science communicator.
Yeah, he's brilliant. I would love to go to just sit in on one of his lectures. He does actual lecture tours as well.
And not that they need the plug, but
he was the keyboard.
No, not plugging D-Reen. Yes, he was the keyboard player in D-Ream. Things can only get better.
So he's a rock star physicist.
But no, my own journey with podcasting kind of started with Brian Cox, because I started listening to the Infinite Monkey Cage, which is a BBC Radio 4 show that he hosts with Robin Ince.
Yeah.
And they do a podcast version of it as well. Like,
this was kind of where I became first aware of him, because when they were doing press and stuff for this, he did appear and give interviews. And
yeah, there was a big thing they kind of pimped at the time, was like, oh, you know, like, this film has the real science.
Yeah.
This film has and there are bits that aren't real science, but it's a sci-fi film, so...
Yeah, they tried as best as they could.
Yeah.
But it basically, the Brian Cox, if you have the DVD, there's a director's commentary on it by him, and he was saying when he got the script, it just said that the sun was dying, and he then goes on to explain in detail how that can't happen for 5 billion years.
Or won't happen for 5 billion years.
So he basically took the script with him back to CERN and was like, how do we fix this?
Yeah. And
came across a paper talking about these things called...
Cue balls.
Cue balls. I wrote it down. That's totally not spelt right, but...
No, it's the letter Q and
balls. Which are like heavy foreign elements
they're like theoretical particles that might be hanging around from after the Big Bang.
But they could theoretically disrupt the sun.
With a much larger sun than ours. But they were like, that's close enough.
Yeah.
If it could fuck with a neutron star, it might fuck with a normal star.
And the way of solving this problem would be to put in something and like basically...
introduce other elements that would...
Disperse it, kick it out of the sun. That's basically the plot of this. Is there are 8 astronauts and scientists on a
long ass mission.
16 months in.
Well, they're 16 months in when we get there. There's no real time frame.
It's about a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah, it seems like they're 16 months in at the start of the film, and there's, maybe a couple of weeks that the film takes place over.
You really don't get a sense of time in this, which is the same, and it's actually brought up very early in the film when there's an altercation.
Yeah.
When they're discussing time and how you can get used to anything, but at the same time, you can't.
Yeah.
They have this massive payload that's the size of Manhattan. They're basically, they say it in the film, there are 8 astronauts strapped to the back of a bomb flying into the sun.
Yeah, which I think is probably a little reference to, I can't remember which astronaut said it, but...
being strapped to the top of a rocket.
Yeah, at launch, realising that he was strapped to, however many million tons of rocket fuel built by the lowest bidder.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a simple story.
Yeah.
A fairly simple plot, like what we want to cover. Not too many characters, again, seems to be a trend among the films that we cover.
I think it's easier, it's cleaner.
It is, and I really like in this that the only characters we ever see, with the exception of the very, very end, are the 8 astronauts.
Yes.
Plus 1.
Yeah.
Sinestro that I mentioned earlier on. And they are given fairly quick and simple introductions, but they do feel like fleshed out characters, and I think that's partly because they were given
extremely detailed backstories.
And those backstories were given not just to the actors, but to like the set builders and the costuming department and things like that. And from what I read kind of in trivia and things like that, it seems like the actors very much incorporated those backstories into how they played the characters.
Yeah, because you can see that through it. So your kind of core cast are Kaneda, who is the captain.
Yeah. Who
is currently in...
Well, most recently he was Scorpion in the Mortal Kombat movie, which was not so good.
No.
Not so good. Very pretty looking, but beyond that, not so good. He was great as Scorpion, though.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just because he kicked ass. I've forgotten the actor's name, but that's me, and actors and actresses, I'm never really good at actors' names, so we'll circle back to him. He's the captain.
He's the captain, he's doing his thing. You've got Searle.
That's Cliff Curtis.
Who's magnificent, and you should watch him in everything he's ever been in.
Oh, yeah.
Most
Another
notably,
great Kiwi actor. He's in Whale Rider.
He plays her father in Whale Rider. He was in Once We're Warriors.
Yeah, Whale Rider, I think, is what got him the role in this.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Watch him.
But yeah, he plays
the psychologist, and his journey in this is particularly fun.
Yeah, we can talk about it a little bit because it's one of the things that happens early on in the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets the character note that I have for him is the psychologist. Because he goes a little bit not full on crazy, but he's got issues.
He's got a touch of the space madness.
He's got the space crazies.
Not to be confused with ocean madness.
The deep sea willies.
It's a suppository.
Yeah, there may be a few Futurama references throughout.
All sorts of this. Kappa, who's played by Cillian Murphy, and he's the physicist on board.
Yeah.
So
Hiroyuki Sanada.
Thank you. So basically Kappa's only there because he's the only one who can work the bomb.
Yeah, he designed the bomb and he's there to work the bomb and work out all the...
Make sure that's his
the
whole
maths
thing.
and the physics around the bomb going off correctly.
You've got Icarus, who's the voice of the ship. Corazon, who's...
Michelle Yeoh.
She's the botanist. She just seems she cares about her plants. And
her in particular was one of her the not filmed backstory things.
Yeah.
For her was that she cared more for her plants than any of the crew on the ship.
You can see
and you
that.
can definitely get that.
She
doesn't really care. And the one bit where she's most upset in the film is over things that happen to her plants.
Yeah.
And that scene, she really she's distraught.
Yeah.
And
so this would have
really,
been kind of like one of the first things I'd seen her in since Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, and I mean she's still acting like mad. As I said, she was Shang-Chi's aunt in my joke summary.
Yeah.
So they're all still working right up to the day.
Cassie, who is the pilot, who is
Rose Byrne.
She
is one of the people I would feel is probably most under-characterized. Her and Trey are very under-characterized in this film,
you
I
don't
think.
really understand what she's there for.
She's
her interactions with Kappa are a bit bizarre.
There was going to be a sex scene between them, but Danny Boyle decided that he didn't want a sex scene in a sci-fi film, that it would just be weird.
It would have been weird,
wouldn't have fit tonally. Yeah, you get a bit of a vibe like that between them, but I suppose for her, I think she's supposed to be the more emotional, empathetic one of the ship, because there's a lot of philosophical issues in this film around sacrificing one for the
needs
greater
of the many
good,
outweigh the needs of the few. There's a
couple of trolley problems and stuff.
There's a lot of moral questioning going on,
and she always puts forth the more humanist, emotional, empathetic arguments.
Yeah,
and I think
she's the one who does have the more visible reactions as well when they find out certain events later on. She's the one who becomes visibly upset.
Yeah, so I think she is. Whereas the various characters, you could almost look at them as certain aspects of personalities.
Yeah.
She is the more emotional side of her personality.
Cyril is 100% the logic. He's very much the devil's advocate, especially when they come to a very pivotal scene in it where they have to make a huge decision.
Yeah, well, I think we can talk about that scene without being too spoilery a little bit further.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That scene in particular really gets... Cyril is very much playing devil's advocate, and the points he makes are 100% valid.
Yeah.
He just does not want to be the one to make the decision.
Yeah, he's the logical one. Mace then, as we said, also, Chris Evans
being a psychologist, he makes a really, really persuasive argument. He knows exactly how to play it.
It's one of the best scenes in the film, and that's why I say we'll save that for a little bit later. But yeah, no, Mace is, I think, one of the best characters in the film as well. Chris Evans' character, he's the ship's engineer.
It's hilarious at the start because he looks like when they find Stephen Amell in the first season of Arrow, and he's got all the shaggy hair.
Yeah.
He has a bit of that where it was obvious bad wig and they just stuck some pubes to his face. That's kind of what he looked like. They just couldn't wait on Chris Evans. At that time he wasn't manly enough to just go and a beard would appear.
They just gave him pube face.
They just gave him kind of pube face.
Hey, those are America's pubes. But
sorry, because we skinny young Chris Evans to me is really funny looking.
I don't think he's not that dissimilar to modern day Chris Evans. Benedict Wong looks so different. That's a baby Benedict.
He's brilliant in this though, because I've really only seen him as Wong recently.
Yeah, apart from his fantastic cameo in What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes.
As the necromancer.
Yeah. So
the
to
fucking
see him...
Scouse necromancer.
And he's brilliant in this because everything else he's quite confident and...
Yeah, in this he's real anxious and self-conscious.
Yeah.
That's the kind of the side of the personality that he portrays most.
And the thing to remember in this as well is they're the crew of the Icarus II.
Yeah.
The implication being that the best of the best went on the first one.
Yeah, well, Brian Cox makes that gag, and it was something that I hadn't considered in the commentary. He says about Kappa that he's the foremost physicist in the world, and he goes, well, actually, probably the second foremost physicist, because I'd guess the first one would have been on Icarus 1.
Yeah, so they're all basically the second best at what they do.
Well, if it's 7 or 8 years later,
but still, they, especially for them to have worked on it,
it will be something that would be ever present in their mind, is what went wrong on that first mission.
Yeah, because they don't know at all. They end up flying into a dead zone where there's no radio transmissions back due to interference with the sun, and they just don't know what happened.
Yeah, they know that the Icarus 1 made it that far, and after that nobody knows.
Yeah, they made it to the edge of the dead zone, and
yeah. Have we gotten through all the characters? No, well, Trey, as I said, is the kind of, he's very self-conscious and very...
he's the navigator, he's the mathematician.
Yeah, well, it's never said, but I reckon he's the navigator because of what he does throughout. And then, Harvey, of course, the second in command and comms officer.
Who nobody really cares about, and he's just there to be a wimp.
He's where Kappa is a bit of a science coward, for lack of a better... Like, Kappa kind of hides behind the science.
Yeah, Kappa doesn't want to be there. Anytime you see him in the group shots, he's always kind of removed from them.
Yeah, and you get the impression that he kind of just would have preferred if he could have just made and designed the bomb and had somebody else go off and do the work. And that is kind of a character trait, and it's a source of a lot of tension between him and Mace throughout it.
Yeah.
Is that Kappa won't kind of own up to things and he's not a man of action. But yeah, he comes across as like somebody who kind of hides behind the science. He won't make a decision until he's absolutely sure he has the right answer.
You see that later on when they do have to make this pivotal decision. And they say, oh, what's your decision? He says straight away, it's not a decision, it's a guess.
Yeah.
He's not comfortable doing that. He doesn't want to stand by that because it's a guess. He doesn't want to be the reason that this all goes wrong if it's a guess.
Yeah. And
he doesn't have a solid yes or no.
Yeah, so I wouldn't call him a coward, but he hides behind the data a little bit. Whereas Harvey is exposed to just be a straight up coward in this film. But he's the comms officer.
He's bizarre as Harvey. You never really get a kind of handle on who he is. He's supposed to be second in command, but he capitulates to everybody else at some point.
Yeah, he's snide and snarky.
He's got a touch of the Rimmers without the arrogance.
Yeah, and he's definitely a bit of a Rimmer.
Oh my god, if Rimmer and Blackadder from the very first season, who's a snivelling little shit, got together, that's who Harvey is.
Yeah, no, Harvey, and he's fine at kind of the start of the film, and you just see him as what he's supposed to be, the communications officer. He's the one who comes across the distress signal.
Yeah.
But later on in the film, there's a few of his actions where you're like, God damn it, dude, just stop being such a coward.
Yeah, relax, will you?
But that's pretty much everybody. So there's the 8 main characters. Some of them are more fleshed out than others. Harvey's one of the ones who's not particularly fleshed out.
You don't really care, though.
Trey...
I don't think you're supposed to like Harvey anyway.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a character that you would necessarily root for in any film. He's very similar to, say, your man, the corporate douchebag in Alien 2.
Yeah.
He's that kind of, your man who barricades himself in with the... he's him. That's what he would do in that situation.
I think he's there to kind of contrast Kappa's journey.
Yeah.
Because Kappa starts off a bit more like that.
Reserved and...
Yeah, and not meek. Self-serving, but...
Just meek and, he doesn't want to really be involved with them, even though they've all been stuck on this. It's a long enough ship. Doesn't matter. You can't get away from people.
He views it as not like a punishment, but you know what I mean?
It's a trial.
It's a trial. It's something that has to be endured, whereas all the rest of them seem to view it, particularly Mace, as a duty.
Mace very much.
And that's why there's a lot of...
Mace, I think, is supposed to have a very, militaristic background. He was, brought up to believe, he follows orders, he has his objective, he will see that objective through, he understands that what they're doing is for the greater good. The greater good. And he doesn't see the point in deviating from this plan to save their planet to satisfy what is essentially curiosity.
What I really like about Mace is that he starts off the film as, his kind of defining moments at the start. He has a bit of a fight with Kappa.
I love the way that is filmed with the because the camera's right up in the face when the two of them are punching the heads off each other.
Yeah, they have the fight, and then a few minutes later you have Mace being real, like, no, we're not changing the plan. And he's kind of set up as this almost a dick character, but as the film goes on, it's like, oh no, he's not a dick. He's a guy who's willing to make the hard calls if he has to. And there's one or two points where he makes a hard call, and then everybody's like, no, you can't do that. And he turns around and calls the captain and is like, Captain, back me up. And immediately the captain's like, no, that's the right call.
Yeah, the captain mentions it at one point that the ship's objective, our crew, the
crew are expendable. The
ship
objective is not.
Yeah.
Most important thing is the
and
payload.
That's a point that's raised a couple of times during discussions, is that they, by virtue of signing up for it, are expendable.
Yeah.
In light of the mission, in light of it, their lives are expendable.
Oh yeah, and that is it's not so much the trolley problem of do we kill one or kill five or whatever. It's more, well, look, it's obvious. If any of these 8 people have to die, or all of them have to die to save the world, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's not so much about the philosophy of whether or not we should. It's the toll of what happens if we do.
Yeah.
Particularly in the scene later on when there's 4 of them sitting around deciding what they should do with another character.
They've had an incident and they've lost a lot of their oxygen reserves. Which becomes its whole thing of, do they all, do you all suffer, or do 4 have a swift death?
Yeah. But yeah, no, I like.
Do you want to choose or go out slowly?
Yeah, there's nothing massively meaty philosophical wise in this, but I do like what they do with it, and there is a lot about isolation and a lot about that. Obviously, like the needs of one outweighing others. Yeah. But as I say, the effort or the focus is more on the aftermath and the actual decision.
Yeah.
But they're all really believable characters, and I think part of that is the fact that they had to live together.
Yeah, Danny Boyle kind of tortured them a wee bit,
yeah,
made them all live in extremely close quarters. So you do get the feeling that they are irritated by each other. In the opening, when you're introduced to them originally and they're sitting down to eat.
Yeah.
In the opening of this movie is just stunning.
Oh yeah, visually this film is fucking amazing.
You're introduced to the Icarus One and you think it's the sun until the camera pivots and it's the giant sun shield.
Yeah.
We have a projector and a massive screen to watch it on, and it's still not enough.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I'd seen this in a cinema. I never did. But find the biggest screen you can to watch this on.
Yeah, it deserves it. It definitely deserves it.
And it's this big, beautiful gold sun shield. As it pans around it, then you get the Icarus behind it, hiding this long, thin structure.
Yeah.
That's hiding behind this massive sun shield with this huge bomb at the very front of it. This big cube thing.
Yeah.
And it's all just very subtly lit with blue.
Yeah, it's a beautiful shot.
And you get that then, everything's very long and narrow and claustrophobic.
Mm.
And even their cabins everything's kind of on top of each other.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things they do really well in this, is the sense of like claustrophobia and isolation.
The only really open, spacious room is the observation room, which is at the very, very front of the ship, and it's actually in the sun shield.
Mm.
And they can observe the sun and it's filtered down and it opens. You get to see that straight away with Cyril, and he's sitting looking at the sun, and it's a beautiful image of the sun.
Yeah,
and it's at 2% brightness.
Yeah.
And he asks for it to go up to 4%, and the computer's like, no, because
it'll cause irreparable damage.
You can go to 3.1 for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And it not blinds it, but it's this overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe it.
Well, the way he describes it, after that, when he comes and he sits down with the crew for their meal, and he's talking about, somebody says, oh, is it like being in an isolation tank? And he's like, well, no. Like, that's the thing, when you're in darkness.
Well, he was saying he had tested them before coming on the mission, isolation tanks.
Yeah, and he says that in an isolation tank you are floating in darkness. You're separate from it, whereas the light completely envelops you.
Yeah.
And you become a part of it, and it becomes a part of you.
And
it's
you
all
get
very...
that in the visuals with him in the sunroom with the sun at 3.1%, and he's holding his hand out, and you can't really see.
Yeah, it's very hard to make out any
of it. Everything's very blinding.
Edges. Yeah.
Everything's blurred. And he's almost panicking. It's real heavy breathing. It's this overwhelming flood of light, essentially.
Yeah, and it is.
And then almost when the filter comes down, it's almost like a euphoric release for him then. He gets this, it looks like he almost gets this like adrenaline rush from it.
And the way he's talking about it to everybody afterwards is very much like, oh my god, this amazing new drug I tried, you have to try it. is definitely the vibe you
Have you ever tried ayahuasca? It's kind of like that.
Yeah,
he does talk about it like almost as like it's this spiritual thing.
Yeah, and there are elements of kind of spiritualism and, well, faith worked in throughout this.
Yeah.
I know they could have been played up more. That was one of the things, was that apparently in the script, Alex Garland had a lot more references to kind of God and atheism, and Danny Boyle just decided to downplay it a little bit.
Yeah, I think especially
you can't downplay it entirely, given the ending.
No, but given Event Horizon...
Well, not the ending, the third act.
...plays a lot with...
similar
themes. It's a smart idea to move away from that.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between this and Event Horizon, so it's probably better for him to stick more strictly to sci-fi.
Yeah.
As opposed to straying into the horror. And again, especially with the third act.
Yeah.
As it is, you really could have gone into kind of like, oh no, we're just copying Event Horizon.
It is, the design of the ship is, you've got a brilliant scene with Corazon coming to give a report to Canada, and you get a sense of the scale of the ship because she's on a little
scooter. Yeah, you see the little scooters a couple of times throughout it.
Going up and down this massive central gantry that, even though it's really long, she's still ducking so she doesn't hit her head.
Yeah, it
is the whole ship feels very claustrophobic. Even when they're sitting in like the main mess around the table, it's still very low. It actually, that whole central table area where they're eating, that to me looked exactly like the crew setup for the Nostromo.
It's very intentional.
Like, I was expecting, like, if all I needed was somebody getting flung on a table in there.
Yeah, there are a lot of visual references to things in that,
and that was a British production as well, so it's always nice to see that put into it.
The world building in this is just, it's fantastic because it's done so well throughout the visuals and then just throughout little things. Like, you get an immediate sense of isolation because you only have these 8 characters.
Yeah.
You keep seeing shots of outside of the ship where it's literally just the ship and blackness and the sun.
Yeah, you can't even see stars.
And within the first 10 minutes of the film,
it's very quiet as well.
Oh yeah.
It's just ambient noise. It's very noticeable when they go to Corazon when she's in the plant room. So the big green area, it's dripping. You can hear the fans going. And that's where it's noticeable because everywhere else it's pin drop quiet.
Yeah, and that's it. It all kind of makes sense that, like, if it's this massive ship but only 8 people on it, so it's not going to be very noisy. So you would, when you went into somewhere like the plant room, that would be more lively, just because of fans and water and things like that. It would be it would seem a much noisier room. But there was all these little, like, kind of intricate details, like the ship itself. There seems to be an awful lot of not exposed wiring. Everything's not like nice shiny panels like the Starship Enterprise or anything like that.
The Earth the Earth was dying. They put up nearly all the Earth resources into the first one. That failed. That was 7 years prior. They've basically gone. They've been out in space for what we'll say 2 years at this point.
Yeah, it's like 16 months.
So they've had to scramble to make this one. Yeah. And the point is made that this is their last chance. They've mined all of Earth's fissile materials to make this bomb. Yeah. Which is the size of Manhattan.
No, I do like the point that's
like
made.
They don't have
all of Earth's fissile material.
Yeah, they don't have a plan B. They are plan B.
Yeah, but that all
weighs on them as well. Like, and
that it makes sense within the world of the film that it would have been a rush job, but also then it kind of helps. The crew always seem like they're just one bad comment away from fighting with every other member of the crew for a lot of the film. And it's like the raw nerves of them are reflected in the exposed wirings of the ship kind of thing.
The fight that breaks out between Kappa and Mace is because they're coming...
Which one?
The first one, just the example of the tensions rising, is because they are coming to the edge of the dead zone and they won't be able to send messages back. And Kappa takes an hour to record his message, which means the winds have come up too high. The solar winds are too high now. Yeah. There's too much interference and Mace can't send his message. And I don't blame Mace. I'd be fucking pissed too.
Oh yeah.
And if I've been stuck in a tin can with somebody for 16 fucking months, I'm probably going to punch the head off you at that point.
Somebody who really doesn't seem like they want to be there.
Yeah.
Somebody who probably understands best on the ship the maths of how little time they have to send these messages back and forth is the one who spends an hour recording his message. And especially if he's second to last person to record his message, you'd be like, you go in and send your message. I don't know what I want to say yet, and I don't want time to run out, so I'll go last. So yeah, no.
And you do get to see Kappa's message, and it's like, really? You spend an hour doing
and
this?
he deletes it at one point.
Does he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you see him go, because you can see like review, delete, send in reverse writing on the screen, and I think at one point he goes to hit delete, and then you see him recording something else.
Oh, he's a bit of a Rodney,
I'd be pissed off with that.
Bit of a Rodney McKay and his thoughts.
Leadership.
Also, I find that was very bad design that they only have one comm station. But again, rush job.
Yeah.
It's probably better that they put some time and put the Earthroom simulator thing in.
Oh, before we go on to the Earthroom thing, it's one of the few scientific inaccuracies that I will point out, is that where that happens, where they have the cut-off point for radio contact, is before they pass Mercury.
Yeah, well, they point that out as well in the commentary. Brian Cox is like, I kind of, this bit's wrong.
Yeah.
They wouldn't listen to me, this bit's wrong.
That...
we sent a mission to Mercury.
We've sent missions to Mercury, and we can communicate to and from Mercury with ease, and have been doing so since the late 70s. And it's just worth pointing out because that is fucking cool. In fact,
the last mission to Mercury, which was called Messenger, only ended in 2015. It's been 10 years out there and deorbited, much like Juno did a couple of years ago, in a beautiful, tragic downward spiral.
Swan dive into the atmosphere.
Swan dive into the atmosphere, went out like a badass.
But yeah, back to the kind of the intricacies of the ship and just how they make sense. The Earthroom as well.
Yeah.
It's great because it's like, obviously they'd want...
It's a real low budget holodeck, but it fucking works.
Well, I mean,
it's an accurate holodeck.
Yeah, if I was there, I'd want something like that.
Yeah.
I definitely want something like that, and it's a really visually cool shot when it switches from the ocean view to the forest view.
Yeah,
it's just done really well.
I also there's something so creepy about Cyril in that shot.
Which shot?
When Mace is in the Earthroom because he's had to punch up with Kappa, and they're like, right, you're strung out, 2 hours in the Earthroom.
Yeah,
chill out. And Cyril, when Mace is asking him to put it back to the waves because he finds the waves most soothing.
Yeah.
And Cyril just stands a little bit too close and his face is a little bit in the glow of it. And it's like, Cyril, what are you doing?
I think that's just a little bit more towards Cyril's degradation.
Yeah, Cyril's starting to lose it a wee bit.
But yeah, no, I love how all these things would fit, and like, you would have an Earthroom on a ship like that.
Yeah, you just need to see things that
remind you of home. And in fact, that was one of the things in the Brian Cox commentary where he says that the one thing that Russians found most helpful for
they're the
morale,
ones who stay in space the longest. They're the ones who have all the long-term data on it.
And the one thing that they found was most helpful for morale was one-to-one calls with family back home. So obviously that connection back to Earth is most important.
And just to somebody who knows you, and just to talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a different, I get the whole you just need to talk to somebody else thing as well. So yeah, that makes Mace's frustrations and not even being able to just send something, just being able to say something to somebody and send it.
Yeah, and like their concern, the crew's concern with what happened to the Icarus One, you can see it when you look into the film. Obviously, there's the obvious parts.
They're getting to the same point where the Icarus One would have been, where things could have maybe started to go wrong. They don't know if it was an engine malfunction, if something didn't work, if the crew, this is where they're starting to get the speculation and the tension is building up. Well, maybe did somebody snap at this point?
Yeah, and then the fact that they actually
the
fact that they find the Icarus,
and
they hear the distress call, makes it even more present in their mind of the ship's still floating out there, and now we found it, and we know how close they were to finishing their mission.
Yeah.
They've
actually addressed a couple of things throughout the film. You've got when Corazon goes to give her report to Kanata, and Kanata's in the sunroom.
Yeah, he's asking about oxygen.
Doing the same thing that Cyril was doing.
Yeah, he's also staring at the sun, and she even says, "Oh, did you come in here on Cyril's recommendation?"
And it takes him a couple of seconds to kind of blink and refocus on her.
Takes him a couple of seconds to even acknowledge her. She's like, "Captain, hello."
He's gotten lost in it as well, in the light bathing, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And she says, she gives him the report that says they have more than enough oxygen to make it there and a quarter of the way back.
Yeah.
So she doesn't think that oxygen reserves were the problem with the Icarus 1.
Yeah, and you see the captain watching tapes of the previous captain, and it's just like he's studying every word, just trying to parse out.
Well, that's where you get the brilliant thing where they're describing the meteor shower that hit the Icarus 1 and it was no one bigger than a raindrop.
Yeah.
Puncturing tiny holes, and it says they lost like 3 or 4 of the panels.
Yeah.
And then the last line is, "Oh, Nas, if you'd seen it, it was beautiful."
Yeah. Which, like, it probably was. But probably not the last thing you should say on your report back to NASA.
No, especially when you're giving, like, you're supposed to be the commander. This is mentioned, Brian Cox actually brings this up on the commentary. That's probably not the wisest choice of words for a captain on an extremely serious mission. Like, you don't want him to be getting fascinated by things. Like, yes, you can think to yourself, like, that is beautiful, but it was also, high chance of destroying everything.
Yeah, you just said 4 panels were destroyed. Tell us more about that and less about how pretty it looked while they were being destroyed, please.
But he keeps focusing in then on his eyes.
There's a lot of focusing on eyes and shots that look like eyes in this film.
Like when they're in the sunroom and it focuses on their eyes behind the sunglasses and you can see the little lights dancing on them.
Yeah, and those little spots that are reflective of how the bomb activates later on in the film as well.
It's like when you watch Dust Motes.
Yeah.
It's that kind of effect, that little sparkly, glittery. But it's also the same thing you get from being sun dazzled as well. Yeah. You get them in the corners of your vision and it just is reoccurring throughout it.
Yeah, no, there is. There's a lot of like kind of duality in images used like that, like the sunspots then compared to the bomb crisp, at the end.
Yeah.
But
the bomb is beautiful.
Oh, that's the
bomb is so insane looking.
So much of the visuals in this are just beautiful, and not just like the CGI is really, really good, but it's not just the CGI. Like the way some of the shots are put together is beautiful. The set design is beautiful, particularly the bomb.
The bomb is crazy looking.
It's no core room from Event Horizon, but it is very cool.
It's vast. You never get a full sense of the scale of it.
Yeah, and it has this weird...
Because it's immense.
It has this weird, like, Tesseract vibe to it.
Yeah, it's
being
cube.
Like a 4-dimensional cube.
It's it's a giant Rubik's Cube, essentially. Yeah. That's realistically, that's what it looks like, as if it was like some massive Rubik's Cube and you can get into the middle of it as well.
The way the outer walls are designed, it almost feels like it's a cube that's somehow inside itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very kind of trippy looking, and then particularly in the third act and the very end of the film, it gets even trippier looking.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, it is it's
the ignition,
just cool looking.
There's a point in it where he tests the ignition spark for it, and if you've ever been to New Zealand and been to Waitomo Caves, it looked like the glowworms.
Yeah.
Just all these little tiny lights. Very, very similar, if you've watched The Expanse, to the way the protovirus moves when it's taking
over... the protomolecule when it takes over Eros. Yes.
It very much had that kind of look to it as well.
Yeah, the visuals are just so cool, and there's so many just little things that you can pick up on as you watch through. Like, one of the things that I noticed was that as the film progresses, as they get closer to the sun, when you cut to there's a lot of outside shots of the ship.
Yeah.
And the closer you get to the sun, the less black the space around the ship
seems, it becomes orange.
And the more orangey it seems, and the darker things get inside the ship, whereas at the start the ship is very brightly lit.
Yeah.
And I like that contrast as the film goes on, from the outside going from dark to light and the inside going from light to dark, is just cool.
Yeah.
And the how did we say we'd refer to it? The tell me what you see shot.
Tell me what you see.
The tell me what you see shot is just, it's one of the most beautiful shots in cinema of probably of the last 20 years.
There is a shot I can reference that's extremely similar to it.
What?
Riddick.
In Riddick?
In Riddick, when he's trying to escape from the prison planet and he's rescued by the other Furion, who then walks out into the daylight.
This is about 1,000,000 times better.
But before that shot happens, when they're climbing up the cliff wall, trying to outrun the sunlight, and it's coming along and it's setting things on fire. Yes, this one is a better version of it.
Still 1,000,000 times better.
But
it is similar, But it's one of the best shots of the movie. It's so beautiful. And
it's an incredibly tense scene.
Oh, yeah.
But I have nothing but praise for the soundtrack for this. Even if you don't watch the movie, just go and find the soundtrack and listen to it.
Yeah, because as incredibly tense as the scene is, it's also incredibly serene.
And the music is so poignant and it captures the beauty of the moment.
Yeah.
It is. Honestly, if the hairs on the back of your neck don't lift up listening to the music, there's something wrong with you.
The what do you see moment, and if you've seen it, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. And if you haven't, we're not spoiling anything. But yeah, the what do you see moment is just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It really is.
Again, like we have a projector, and it's still not enough to appreciate
the
artwork that went into.
I wish I could have seen this in the cinema.
Yeah,
because that is. I mean, there's loads of pretty shots of like the shield and of the ship, but that one in particular just blows the rest of them out of the water. Yeah. It really does.
Paired with Brian Murphy's soundtrack.
Oh yeah, Brian Murphy's soundtrack is fantastic.
And you don't know, you know it, but you know it because a lot of his music has been used. Obviously, he's worked with Danny Boyle and Alex Garland on a lot of their films. Most notably, he did 28 Days Later, which gave us In the House in a Heartbeat, which has been used in loads of stuff.
Yeah.
But in this, Adagio in D minor.
Also been reused in a load of stuff.
That and The Surface of the Sun are the two main tracks from this that would have been used in a lot, but it just, so good.
Yeah. One of the most negative things that I kept seeing lobbied at the film are based around the third act, so we should probably talk about it as non-spoilery as we can. I understand, where people's problems with the third act come from, because there is a bit of a tonal shift, but we were talking about it before we came on.
Sorry, I just had a fucking epiphany here about the third act when you talk about that. Third act can also, if you don't want to explain it away as there being an actual person there, third crew member syndrome, which was noted in Antarctic Explorers of there being the feeling of such severe isolation that you start to hallucinate another person being there.
I know about third man syndrome, but that tends to they generally tend to be a benevolent feeling.
Yeah.
Whereas it wouldn't really work in this.
No.
Yeah, you could put that viewing on it. No, I mean I'm
until there is a point where it is confirmed, and then it is
a tonal shift, yes.
But it's not such a hard left-hand turn, because if you look at it, the clues are there. You've got Searle and this light-bathing obsession, and you can start to see the things are starting to unravel, and the tensions are getting to the point, or are starting to boil over, because they can't communicate back. They are entirely on their own at this point.
Yeah, we talked about the subtler aspects of the ship and the isolation, and there are subtle hints towards this other character in the third act, and because what happened to him is never explicitly explained, but if you pick up on these clues, it's quite obvious. If you
look at Searle and Searle's journey through this, you can kind of see where it's going to culminate.
As much as the character annoyed people, there is a very definitive visual style change in the third act as well, which also pissed off a lot of people. But again, I'm for it.
I don't mind it. I quite like it. I like the fact that it's never 100% focused on. It's always blurry, like you've just been looking at the sun. Yeah. It's got that, when you've got sunspots going on.
Yeah, and it does make it very panicky. And it does... Just to go back to the story element of it for a second, we did say before we came on air that, if you were to remove this story element that people have problems with, where the fuck would you go with it? There's not a lot else you could do unless you just replace what happens with that character with another character.
Yeah, the most obvious one in that being Troy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, you do think it's gonna go?
Yeah, there is kind of a bit of a bait and switch there. But the only thing that I would really have to say negative about third act myself is that that character does kind of just drop off.
Yeah.
It's a bit anticlimactic with specifically with that character. But again, no, I really enjoy the third act, and visually, the blurriness I really enjoy.
I like his introduction.
And the very end scene where things go a bit screwy makes sense if you pay attention to what Kappa has been saying earlier on about the payload delivery, and
basically being that close to the surface of the sun and the gravitational forces
and
at play makes physics not work.
Yeah, well, not quite, but
everything turns into a soup.
Yeah, things go a bit screwy.
Gravity and time and space no longer exist as separate entities, but are a blob, and spaghettification will occur.
No, that's black holes.
That's black holes.
it's going to have an effect.
It's all hypothetical because we just don't know what's going to happen under those pressures, temperatures, velocity.
But to visually portray that is never going to be an easy job, and I think that Danny Boyle did a pretty damn good job.
Yeah,
it is a bit of a tonal shift and a visual shift for the third act. I think it's set up adequately enough that it doesn't by any means ruin the film.
No, and you get like that final couple of scenes in the payload.
Yeah.
If you don't like that, you've got the run up to that with the separation and the two shields and that whole bit of the sun coming down.
Oh yeah. But yeah, no, any of the negative...
that little jump seat as well,
Any of the negative stuff that I did see, it seemed to be people were like, oh yeah, the first two acts were fantastic and the third act was shite, and that's why, like, I couldn't find any reviews that were like, this is just a bad film from start to finish.
But 28 Days Later has a very similar kind of shift and pace to it though, where this first act is kind of confusion and
this
like setup, and then the second act is a little bit slower, survival,
and then the third act is all the stuff
with all the action bit.
Completely it's not
again you have the whole like if you've not seen 28 Days Later, I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil it for you now, that whole bit sequence in the house in Harvey with Cillian Murphy running around the place and you don't know if he's a zombie or not. Like that, you can see those three acts being replicated in this.
Yes, and
the beach follows again a very similar kind of structure.
So
basically anything written by Alex Garland.
it's not unlike Alex Garland and Danny Boyle to throw us a curveball in the third act.
No, it's a pre-established part of what they do.
This might just have been a bit too curvy for some people.
But I like it as well.
Oh yeah, no, so
when you look at the tradition of old sci-fi, like in Dark Star, you've got the third act curveball, which is the sentient bomb.
Speaking of Dark Star, the character of Pinbacker is based on the character of Sergeant Pinback from Dark Star.
But the third act in that does go a bit off the wall.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I don't agree with most of those reviews. It's just it's the most common negative thing that gets shot at.
People there's a lot you have to remember that it all seems like throwaway in the first two acts.
Yeah.
A lot of it is in the scientific explanations and things like that. But once you kind of go, oh fuck yeah, they mentioned that, it makes sense.
Yeah, because I will say this is a film you've watched a couple of times more than me, and you really, really love it. And I haven't watched it as many times, but the more I watch it, the more I do grow to love it. And I think
just becomes really fascinating.
Yeah, there's a lot of subtle things in the characters and in the setups of plot points that, if you don't, not that it's like a super smart movie or anything like that, but it could make that third act really like, what the fuck, if you don't catch some of the setups earlier on.
Yeah, no, it's a really, really fascinating film for me.
Yeah, no, I do. I really, really enjoy it. And like, it does seem like they put a shitload of effort into it, between like having all these extra backstories written and having the actors live together and sending them on like some astronaut training and
Danny
things like
Boyle
that.
Found it so exhausting to do that he swore he'd never do another sci-fi, which is quite a disappointment.
Which is a fucking shame.
For the only one that he's going to make, I'm happy with it. Like he's going, he was kind of, this was when he was really going for the Stanley Kubrick, I will do one in every genre.
Yeah, pretty much everything he does is damn good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen all of his work, but everything I've seen
great.
I've enjoyed. Yeah, I mean, everything I've seen of his I've really, really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And he definitely
even the 2012 Olympics? He choreographed that.
The London...
the London opening. That was him.
Fair enough. Yeah. I didn't know that now. Yeah. But, just...
it was so funny, because everyone was expecting it to be like Trainspotting or something like that.
But yeah, all the little bits of attention to detail in this were just... It all adds up. Like, just the little things like using real sounds of space that he got from NASA.
Yeah.
You know? And
also, another point about the soundtrack is that it's not just... I've forgotten his name.
Brian Murphy.
It's not just Brian Murphy, it's also Underworld.
Yes.
Which just makes all the difference.
And another comparison between it and Event Horizon, because that was also done with a dance...
Orbital?
Yeah, with an Orbital and a traditional composer whose name escapes me at the minute.
But you can hear it, it's reflected in it really, really well.
No, the soundtrack is great. No, pretty much everything about this film is great. I really, really enjoyed it.
It's so sad. I really do think it just got overshadowed by Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah, because I don't like.
Also,
you still hear about his other. You still hear about 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You still hear about his other films, and you still hear about some sci-fi films from back then. Like this was only 2 years before Avatar, and people still won't fucking shut up about Avatar.
It's Fern Gully.
Oh yeah, I mean
it's knockoff Fern Gully. That is a hill I will die on.
Anything we could say about Avatar has been said before. But, like, yeah, it's just, I do think it is underrated.
I'm trying to think what came out that year as well, though, because I don't think at the time Sci-Fi was kind of king.
No, we were still, I mean, like, District 9 was still a year or two away.
Oh, no, I've just Googled it. It was a bad year.
What? Okay, shoot.
Well, Transformers.
Of course, yeah.
Something called The Invasion with Nicole Kidman, no idea.
Garbage.
Yeah. I Am Legend.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, less said about that, the better. Read the book, basically.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3, the one with
emo
Peter Parker.
Emo Peter Parker.
Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Also, Chris Evans was still.
Yeah. 28 Weeks Later was in 2007 as well.
Yeah, it was. I was in the cinema when that came out. That was later on in the year. That was around Halloween.
So that's probably it as well, like, because 28 Weeks would have gotten the bigger push, too. Resident Evil Extinction, AVP Requiem. That horrendous Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
So there was a lot of like sci-fi schlock there.
Remake of The Mist, Ghost Rider, Beowulf, Stardust, Planet Terror, Grindhouse, yeah.
Yeah, so this definitely wouldn't have been a year probably to release a hard sci-fi film.
Superman Doomsday, the DC animated one, came out this year as well.
So yeah, there wasn't much in the way of hard sci-fi films that year, was there?
No, and it's quite surprising because Cillian Murphy was like on the way up. Like, not that he's fallen down or anything like that, but this would have been during his rise because this was after he did The Wind That Shakes the Barley, which just got nominated for everything, won the Palme d'Or at Cannes.
Well, Batman Begins would have been 2 years before that.
Yeah, but he got like Oscar nominations and stuff like that for The Wind That Shakes the Barley, because, Oscar bait.
Yeah, no, I'm guessing it wasn't enough of a draw to get people in just on his name.
Well, also, he did Red Eye. Which kind of tanked.
I saw that. That wasn't great.
That kind of tanked. And I've actually not seen... I meant to watch the theatrical trailer for this. Because sometimes the trailers can tell you exactly why they didn't do well.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Especially if you look at some of the like older trailers for like the 80s movies. The one for The Howling is brilliant. Sometimes the way they have the trailers cut together, you can kind of understand why they didn't work out as well as they did.
Well, that was one of the big problems that Ravenous had. The trailer for Ravenous was just a fucking joke.
Yeah, whereas the problem they have now is they give away all the good bits in the trailer.
Yeah. I can't pinpoint why this film... I feel like this film should definitely be bigger, especially have a higher kind of regard among hard sci-fi films. I don't know, it doesn't. Maybe that third act thing just fucked off a lot of people. Yeah.
No, it is very, very bizarre. Because especially Cillian Murphy now, obviously, in Peaky Blinders, whenever I'm talking to people about it and, they mention that they like him or whatever, and I'm like, oh, have you seen Sunshine?
Yeah.
It's always a no.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, even myself, like, I slept on it for a while.
Yeah.
Even after you said, we need to watch this, it took me a good year or two to actually sit down and watch it.
Yeah. I'm a huge, huge fan of this film. I love it. There's something about this film that just gets me.
No, it is. It's a great little film. It really is. And one of the higher budgets of the films that we've covered, probably.
Yeah.
Like 40-50 million budget, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, really,
money well
really
spent.
enjoyable film.
It looks beautiful. Even it's 11 year, no, older than that, 15-year-old film now.
15 years, yeah.
It still looks amazing.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Really, really, really
helpful. Yeah, the majority of that budget went on those effects, and it shows.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. And Danny Boyle only let one VFX studio work on it.
Yeah, which makes a huge difference.
And one post-production studio work on it.
Very cohesive.
So, yeah, so that he could keep a closer eye on it. And it meant post-production ran for really long, but it definitely stands to it because this film still looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Better even than some stuff that's coming out now.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, yeah, it definitely had a bigger budget, but still not like 200-300 million budgets that we see getting thrown and stuff today that still has some garbage scenes in it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Justice League mustache being...
Oh, can we not? I would have been quite happy with a hirsute Superman.
A mustachioed Superman?
Oh, I think that mustache was hilarious.
Yeah, it was.
It was, as he said himself on a Graham Norton interview, he couldn't stand near playgrounds or anything like that. Trying to give out sweeties to kids.
Yeah, Yeah, okay, but we're making pedo jokes, so maybe it's time to wrap things up.
Hey, I did not make it. He made it first himself. So
yeah, but you brought it up.
I know. You brought up the mustache.
It's true. It's true. Right, but we, as usual, have no fucking clue what we're going to cover next week.
No, we're going to stare at the wall for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we only decided on this literally fucking yesterday. It was like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do?
We've discovered that we apparently want to cover only sci-fi, which is fine.
Well, it was mostly horror, and this is our first like strict sci-fi I think that we've covered.
Or they're horror sci-fis, or comedy sci-fis,
or comedy horrors,
or
one straight action film in the middle there for no particular reason other than it had Mark Dacascos in it.
Oh yeah, Mark Dacascos.
But we'll be back with something next week, guys.
That had a supernatural element with the old dragon lady.
A very small supernatural
I want to do
element.
Brotherhood of the Wolf, just for more Mark Dacascos.
We could maybe do Brotherhood of the Wolf in a while. But we only did a werewolf episode a few weeks ago.
That's the Beast of Shovadon.
Yeah, I know it is, but we only did a werewolf episode a few weeks ago.
I know.
But yeah, we'll be back with something next week.
Somewhere.
Who knows
somehow.
what? Well, somewhere is here, and the somehow is
same bad time, same bad channel.
Yeah, and the somehow is via a series of tubes, because that's what the internet is.
Wait, no. What do witches? Oh, witches use semen to make magnets.
Yes, witches do use semen to make magnets, and now we're just making bizarre references out of nowhere. So it's really time to go.
The internet is a series of tubes.
Points if you get all or any of those references, guys. And we will catch you next week. But in the meantime, if you'd like to go back and listen to our previous episodes, you'll find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts.
Google Podcasts?
Yeah, that place. And all the other places for
with
podcasts.
The things and the stuff.
Under Mono Rants at the Movies. And we also covered all the episodes of The Boys and Diabolical from Amazon Prime. And that's Mono Rants The Boys. Find us on Twitter at rantsmono, Instagram monorants_the_boys, and you can send your own rants to monorantspodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, that's about it, guys. Catch you next week.
Bye-bye.
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 We are Science Fiction Remnant.
This is the Funny Science Fiction Podcast.
We are the Caribbean Science Fiction Network.
We are Monorants.
We are One Accord Level 2 Podcast.
This is Sci-Fi.